Hi everyone, this is KnifeFighter22 here. I hope you guys are all well. I'm here with Connor.
Hi everyone.
And today we're going to be looking at the game between Zukertort and Anderssen.
This game was played in 1865.
So it was a very sort of odd and ancient game, obviously before any chess engines or anything like that. So the style of play is quite odd here. We see e4 and e5.
And white was played by
Zukertort.
And black was played by
Anderssen. Okay, so we have knight f3, knight c6, and then what we see is the Ruy Lopez Spanish opening, and black chooses sort of an odd variation here. He chooses the
Cozio defense.
Yeah, and by playing the Cozio defense, actually, he blocks in his bishop and queen quite a bit, at the same time defending this knight. A more common move you see today is a6, pulling the bishop back, and then b5 and fianchettoing the bishop on the queen side.
It's quite an aggressive play by white so far.
It is.
Going straight into the attack.
Playing c3, and you'll notice the d4 square actually is going to have three attackers. It's going to have pawn, queen and knight all attacking on this square at the same time. So yeah, d6 now, and d6, you know, it's starting to liberate this bishop, but at the same time this knight is now pinned. So when white does go ahead and play d4, black is a little bit stuck as what to do.
Yeah, it's not the nicest position. It's very compact, isn't it?
You can see there's not a lot of space to move. I mean, what can you do with this bishop? You can play it to g4, but really it has to be there in case anything happens with the knight. It just gets really messy over here. Okay, bishop d7, and then we have castles from Anderssen. I actually think rook to e1 would be a nice idea. If he could open up the e-file, this king isn't going to be castled for a long time. There could be some nice tactics going along there. And then knight round to g6, you know, just trying to liberate the bishop and queen.
Yeah, trying to give it some space, some place to go. But to be honest, it can't go that far.
It can't.
We've got the bishop on what's it? C1.
On c1.
That's, you know, annoying, that one, and you could always move a pawn in front.
So if it did go to f4, the worst comes to worst, you can always just trade it off. But this is immediately stopped with the move actually knight up to g5, posting an immediate threat. And if you look at this knight, if a move like say h6 was played, where is this knight going to go? I mean, h3, you just get bishop takes, and then the king is weakened. You know, can't go to e4, can't go to e6. So, you know, h6 seems to solve all the problems.
Initially it seems like a bad move, and when he tries to push it, it's more obviously turned back, but this is quite interesting actually, where he takes it.
He does, he sacrifices the knight.
He's definitely opening the f-file.
And because, yeah, this rook is also on this f-file, it's an interesting point to point out actually. If he did ever want to play f4 now, this rook would be on the open f-file with a tempo. And obviously it's a fork between the queen and the rook, so if he wanted to stay equal in material, he'd have to go ahead and take the knight here.
Yeah.
Bishop c4 check, and yeah, the king is quite stuck in this position.
Yeah, it's an interesting one, because the bishop's quite far out, but it's quite I don't know, attacking in a nasty way.
It is, yeah.
It's limiting black's options.
The black king can't go into g8. Because the bishop's protecting it, so it has to go closer to the centre of the board. King to e7 now, that's an odd choice, because you see the move queen up to h5 now, and this is attacking the undefended knight, but at the same time also posting the threat of bishop to g5 check. You know, bishop to g5 check, king moves, the queen is lost. Alternatively, bishop to g5 check, if h takes g5, then queen takes h8 in the corner, which wins the rook.
So the black's obviously moved the queen along to try and open up some space for the king to go, try and get him out the way.
Try to get him back to the d8 square. Also, I think black is trying to initiate a queen trade here, you know, possibly after this knight has moved. Black is saying, because he's up a piece in material, don't forget, black is saying, you know, if I can get these queens traded off, I might actually have the advantage in this position. But now we see queen g5, and if you notice, the king can move to no squares. So he's forced to take, and bishop to g5 is checkmate. So yeah, that was a pretty interesting game. It was unusual for the black king to be checkmated in 12 moves, considering it was a Grandmaster game. But I found it very interesting, and I've always enjoyed Zukertort and Anderssen's style of play.
It's a very interesting checkmate because to be honest, White hasn't really attacked too much. It's more a checkmate from behind.
It is just with 2 bishops. There's no rook or queen involved in that. It's just 2 bishops checkmating the king.
And I suppose the whole process where Black was almost forced to move every piece. It was a kind of reacting too much on White and not giving itself enough freedom to move its own pieces where it wanted to launch a counter-attack.
White definitely had the initiative in that game. Okay, so that was the game, Zukertort versus Anderssen, 1865. There was Berlin, and as you mentioned, it was the Cozio defense. So it's goodbye from me. Goodbye.
See you, everyone.
And we'll see you next time. Goodbye, everyone.